Alright, so hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today we are taking a look at a website called Ironside PCs. It's again just another system integrator for gaming PCs, and we're going to be sitting here talking about them today. We're going to be talking about their company, we're going to be talking about their website, we're going to be talking about their PCs, and just if you should buy one or not. So before we get into the video, if you guys do end up enjoying it, make sure to leave a like. It really helps me out. And if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Alright, so first off, I think their website looks great. Very, very professional, very well done. Honestly, just by the website alone makes me feel a lot more confident in these guys since I really haven't heard of them. I did look at them up on YouTube, and it seems like they have a pretty big YouTube presence. It's kind of similar to the last PC company that we talked about. They do a lot of sponsorships with big YouTubers, which is kind of cool. But I really haven't seen much of it on YouTube, and from what I've seen, their reviews are actually pretty good too. Seems like they're a pretty reputable company. Seems like they package their stuff pretty well. Seems like the quality of the PCs and the cable management is pretty good. So I'll give them kudos on that. For the 20 minutes that I kind of looked at them, looked at their products, looked at their reviews, looked at the stuff on YouTube and other stuff about them, I feel pretty confident saying that you're going to be fine buying a gaming PC from them. You're probably not going to have any problems with customer support. You're probably not going to have any problems with the thing being broken on arrival. And if there is, again, customer support is seemingly pretty good. And then to kind of branch off of that idea, their warranty services seem pretty good. So you get a 3-year parts warranty and then a 5-year service warranty. So that means if any parts and stuff like that fail, or if anything happens to the PC, they will replace the parts for free. And then for the 5-year warranty, if anything happens to the PC within 5 years, you will still have to pay for the parts, but you won't have to pay for any sort of servicing and stuff like that that they do on your PC, which is pretty good. 3 years for a part warranty is actually really good in the industry. Usually it's only around 1 to 2 years, and the 5-year service warranty is actually pretty standard. So good on them for that. Now, one of the main things that these guys do is they have kind of that whole custom thing. So most of these companies out here will have a custom system builder. So they have a Forge APC, where you can pretty much just get a base layout of a PC, and then you can go over to the components page or the aesthetics page and change stuff around to kind of where you want it to be. If you want to upgrade the processing power, you can change out the CPU to whatever you want, or if you just want to bring down the processing power, maybe you don't want to spend as much on a CPU, again, you can just kind of neuter it like that. Again, it's a pretty standard system. It's pretty well done. I think everything looks good, and in terms of choices, everything seems good as well. They got a pretty good amount of choices for cases and stuff like that. For components, they also have a pretty good selection of components. When it comes to motherboards and stuff like that, it's not amazing, but again, it's still a good bit, and they actually have it tiered pretty well as well. When it comes to their memory, it's actually, again, pretty good. Most of their base systems will always come with dual channel, so even if you buy a system with only 8 GB of RAM in it, you're still getting the 2x4 configuration, so you will get dual channel in most of the systems as well. And we'll take a look here at some of their pre-built systems, but this again is just their kind of custom builder, and everything else seems fine. I don't think pricing is anything crazy. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. $1,400 for a system like this, in terms of what you're getting for it, is actually pretty good. You're getting an i5-10400 with a an RTX 2060. Yes, you're getting a 2060. So in terms of performance, it's actually pretty good for the price, and for it being a quote-unquote custom PC, it's again not a terrible price. It's pretty competitive with the market, and again, kudos on them for that, because a lot of these other companies out there will charge you a good bit more for a custom PC on the market. So they're doing pretty well so far. All right, so the first PC we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the Model 1. So this is, again, one of their pre-builts. This is kind of a standard configuration that they offer, and this is the lowest end configuration that they offer on this particular model. And just like the build your own system over here, the Model 1 does have some options to pick different parts out. So if you do want to upgrade the CPU, you can. There are just some compatibility constraints with choosing parts though, so depending on the case that you have, this is an ITX case, so you can't have anything other than an ITX motherboard. So if you pay an extra $100, you can get a higher end ITX motherboard other than this lower end H510 one. Oh, and I didn't say this beforehand, but I probably should have mentioned this. These are all Intel based systems. I already looked at all of their AMD based systems. It pretty much doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go with AMD if you're buying from these guys. It looks like Intel is going to be the better price to performance company to go with when it comes for your processors. And then when it comes to GPUs, you pretty much are just going to go with NVIDIA, because that's pretty much the only options that they have on their site. So just to kind of clear up that branding situation, I'd pretty much just go with Intel just for the prices right now. And going forward, all of the systems that we're taking a look at on the Ironside PC site are going to have a Intel processor in them, just again because we want to represent the best PCs that they have against the the best PCs that we're comparing them to. And so when it comes to price to performance for $1,100, again, I don't think this thing is bad whatsoever. For an i3-10100, which is again one of my favorite CPUs to come out here in the past, I think it's actually a pretty good system. You're getting a GTX 1650. I wish this would be a 1650 Super, because I definitely think you could squeeze that in with this $1,100 price range. But again, like, comparing this to companies that we looked at in the past, like Apex Gaming PCs, this is much better price to performance, and the fact that you kind of get an added bonus of this is a small form factor system. Again, you're using an ITX motherboard, which are known to be in small and compact systems. So if you're someone who just wants to have a small little desktop just sitting on top of your desk, this is probably going to be one of the better choices to go with, because again, you can kind of customize it. And for the pricing and stuff like that, I think it's pretty good. In terms of RAM, you're getting 8 gigs, and again, they are using dual channel, which is again great, because a lot of companies will just kind of save that extra dollar or two by using a single stick instead of using 2 separate 4 gig sticks. It's just better for the end user because it's going to provide a little bit more processing power for the i3. And everything else around here looks pretty good. You get your standard Wi-Fi, you get a 550 watt 80 plus bronze PSU, which should be more than enough for this system configuration. And again, everything looks good. The case looks fine. Honestly, I think it's a fairly good looking case for a self-branded one. In general, I think most people would be happy with this PC. But when we compare it to something else, like on Best Buy, the CyberPower GamerMaster gaming desktop, this particular PC I think is also really good for the price point. So this thing is combating around at the same price range. So after tax and shipping and stuff like that, these things are going to be pretty similar. They're pretty much going to go around for $1,100, $1,150 respectively. And when it comes down to it, just the price to performance of this PC is just going to be all around better. Mainly because of the fact you're getting a better CPU. So the Ryzen 5 3600 has 2 more cores than the i3-10100, and the AMD Radeon RX 580 is going to be a good bit better than the GTX 1650. Again, this is usually how pricing scenarios are going to go. If you're buying something from CyberPower or Best Buy, or if you're just looking for the best price performance, you're going to be able to find it. But I definitely see the kind of value that Ironside is actually adding to their PCs, so I don't think it's a bad buy. But if you are someone who's just looking to get the most power out of the money that you are spending, probably would try to go with something else. But again, if you're someone who's really into the build quality, if you're someone who's really in to kind of the case design, the form factor, and the warranty services that these guys offer, honestly, this is also not a bad buy whatsoever. Now let's move over to the Model R. So again, kind of get the same kind of selections and stuff like that you do on the other PCs, though they are upgrading the case to a standard ATX form factor. But yeah, the Model R doesn't seem, again, bad either. In terms of components, you're getting an i5 10600K, which is a fairly good CPU. For cooling, you're also getting a 120mm radiator, which again is honestly really good. And they're adding their own thermal compound to it, so supposedly it's probably going to be better than the stock thermal compound that is going to be on most systems. And then for the motherboard, you're getting an Asus Prime B560. So honestly, if I were you and you're considering this PC, I would definitely upgrade it to a Z590 chipset motherboard. I know it's an extra $100, but just because of the fact that you're getting an i5 10600K and you're probably going to want to be overclocking it, you're going to need that Z590 chipset in order to do so. But again, if you're not looking for overclocking, again, you can just go step down the CPU to something a little bit more reasonable. And the other thing I've noticed on this website is that it does take a long time for things to load, which is probably just a back-end thing. But if you do want to kind of step down in terms of performance, you can just go with the 11400, drop down $50. You're pretty much going to get the same, if not better performance than the 11600K, but you're just going to lose that option to overclock. And honestly, this is pretty much the configuration that I would go with instead of the 10600K system. When it comes to the GPU, you're getting an RTX 3060. Honestly, again, that's not a terrible price for $1,700. And then for the power supply, you're getting a 650 watt 80 plus bronze. So when it comes down to everything else, they're doing it right. They're doing a good job with the memory. They're keeping the speeds up while making sure that it's in dual channel for every configuration that they have. And I applaud them for that because, again, it's a very easy money-saving tactic that a lot of people do, and it's at the detriment of the customer. And when it comes to the storage, again, having a 512 gigabyte NVMe drive is good. And if you want more, you can add some more storage on if you want. And then for the networking card, again, I'm glad that they put in a pretty decent networking card, because the fact is most people who are buying pre-built PCs are going to be playing off of Wi-Fi. They're going to be playing with the system in their room, and they don't want to drag an Ethernet cord all the way across their house just to get wired internet. Again, good on them. I think that they're really prioritizing the right things when it comes to trying to make sure that their brand isn't crazy expensive, but it's also offering kind of the nice to haves that some people might be looking for. All right, now when it comes to this system, so this is pretty much the exact same price. And you are going to be getting a HP Omen gaming desktop. Now, the main reason why I even picked this thing is just because of the fact that the specs of the system completely blow out the Model R. So for the CPU, you're getting a Ryzen 7 5800X. This is an 8-core, 16-thread CPU. One of the newest CPUs out on the market. It's amazing in terms of performance. I don't think anybody's going to have any sort of complaints with that CPU. And then for the GPU, you're getting a 3060 Ti. Again, an absolutely amazing GPU. It is better than the 3060 that is in here. And again, when it just comes down to it, the processing power of this PC is just going to be higher. So when it comes to the comparison of these two systems, of course, the HP wins out in terms of compute power. You're getting a better CPU, you're getting a better GPU, you're getting more storage, you're also getting pretty much a similar cooling system, you're getting that 120 millimeter AIO. So if it were me buying a system, I'd probably just get the HP Omen. But again, I don't necessarily think that this PC is terrible value. Again, I can definitely see people going for this. Really, the only big downside is just the fact that this thing has a worse CPU. The 11400 is a good 6-core CPU, but when it comes down to it, if you're doing professional work, if you're video editing, if you're doing stuff like that, this is going to be the much better system to go with. I think Ironside's doing the right thing here, but I think their pricing could be a little bit more competitive. And again, they have all those nice to haves and things like that. So again, you're really just gonna have to weigh your pros and cons when it comes to picking a PC outside, because most of the time you are gonna be able to find a PC that has better price to performance when it comes to just overall compute power. So again, like I said with the last one, if you're someone who prioritizes the best bang for your buck, then I wouldn't go with Ironside. But if you're someone who doesn't want to get scalped for having a pretty quality PC, for having a long extended warranty, and having pretty good build quality and pretty reliable build quality, again, you might want to go with Ironside. And then this is going to be their last and final PC we're taking a look at. So this is going to be their Model O. So this is kind of their high-end enthusiast PC. When it comes to the case, honestly, this is one of my favorite cases on the market. I'm actually planning on purchasing this case here in a little bit. Phanteks Evolve X, again, amazing case. It's got this cool kind of lighting on the front. You kind of hide away all your USB stuff in the top. It's a huge case, so you get a lot of room to work around and stuff. You got swinging glass panels. Honestly, it's an amazing case. And then when it comes to components, for the processor, we're getting a i9 10850K, pretty much the same thing as the 10900K. It's just a step down in terms of clock speeds, so it's not anything crazy. In terms of cooling, you're getting a 240 millimeter radiator, so you're getting a pretty good step up in cooling. Should be great for the i9. And in terms of the motherboard, you're getting again a pretty quality motherboard. The Asus Prime Z590 is one of the better quality motherboards in the Z590 range. Again, you can go with a lower end one if you wanted to, but honestly, I'd just kind of stick with the Asus Prime. And when it comes to the memory configuration, you're getting 32 gigabytes and you're getting 4 sticks of 8. Honestly, I would probably rather have 2 sticks of 16 to make up that 32 gigs. Just because you can usually get timings and clock speeds a little bit better tuned if you only have 2 sticks instead of 4 sticks. But again, you're still getting 32 gigs and that's great. I think most people who are buying something within this $3,000 price range really would kind of expect that level of RAM capacity with that price point. And then when it comes to storage, this is kind of the downside for this particular PC, is that it only has a 1 terabyte NVMe M.2 drive. Honestly, I'd like to see a 2 terabyte one here. Again, you're spending $3,000 for a PC, and it's not very unreasonable to buy a $200 drive for a PC like this. And for the GPU, this is kind of where it's hurting a little bit. The RTX 3070 is a good card. I don't think it's a bad card whatsoever, but it does not belong in a $3,000 PC. Something like a 3080 or a 3070 Ti or a 3080 Ti is the kind of GPU that belongs in this particular system. And I know they're probably doing a lot of cable management stuff. I know they're probably doing a bunch of other things with the PC to make sure that they add, I guess, their extra kind of value add on to it. But once we start kind of getting to this high end range, it just kind of seems that we're losing a little bit of the competitiveness with the other PCs on the market. So the PC we're going to be comparing this to is going to be the Skytech Siege 3.0. And this PC is, again, on Best Buy. Most of the PCs that I take a look at are on Best Buy just because it's pretty available to most people. So yeah, and when it comes down to it, the pricing is pretty much the same. It's $2,700 and this one's $2,900. It's a $200 difference, which, you know, is kind of take it as you will. But in terms of performance, the CPU performance is going to be pretty much on par with the 10850K. Again, even though this is only an 8-core CPU and this one has 2 more cores than that, it's a 10-core CPU. Just the performance gains from this particular generation, these things are going to go pretty neck and neck when it comes to multi-core performance and single-core performance. So I really can't hand out a winner there when it comes to the CPU, but when it comes to the GPU, you're getting an RTX 3080. So of course, this one is already the better deal. And then in terms of the SSD, you're getting a Gen 4 SSD. So in terms of read and write speeds, it's going to be blazing fast. You're still getting that 1 terabyte capacity, so it's not going to be anything crazy. It's going to be actually the same amount as this, but again, you do get those Gen 4 speeds, which does kind of add on some more value to this particular system. Now when it comes to memory, you're just only getting 16 gigs, which is kind of the downside to this PC. And then you're getting a 360mm AIO. So personally, if it were me, I'd probably, it'd be a hard decision for me to go between these two. As of right now, when we're talking about the comparisons of these two PCs, they're pretty similar, but if you even want to step up to the same graphics card performance, you're going to be paying a good bit more for a 3080. You're paying an extra $270 for this PC, which is kind of crazy if you just want even close to the same overall graphics performance. Again, this thing does lack in terms of memory capacity, but memory is extremely easy to upgrade, and it's a lot cheaper than a graphics card upgrade. So in general, I think that this particular PC wins out above it. So again, it's the same things as the last two PCs that we talked about. If you like the things that Ironside is offering for their PCs, it might be a better decision for you to go with them. Again, Skytech really isn't known for the best quality assurance. They aren't known for the best customer support and stuff like that. They do offer very good value gaming PCs, but they definitely do have their downsides when it comes to the other aspects that Ironside PCs excels in. So my overall thoughts on Ironside PCs, they're not bad, they're not amazing, they're pretty much smack dab in the middle. Depending on what you're looking for in a PC, I can see someone going with these PCs and having a phenomenal time with them. Again, you're going to be paying a standard $100 to $200 more on top of a typical CyberPower PC with maybe around the same specs or even better specs. But again, if you're willing to pay that extra pricing for a good warranty service, for a good building service, for a good customer support service, I definitely think that this honestly offers some pretty good value for some people. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about these guys. If you guys have purchased an Ironside PCs, please just talk about your experience down in the comment section below. It is super helpful for people who search up this video and are just looking for some other people to sit down and talk about it, because there is something about reading reviews on the same websites that's trying to sell you the gaming PC. It just doesn't seem that authentic. So if you would leave just kind of your experience with the PC, with their customer support, with every interaction you've ever had with Ironside, if you have had one, down in the comment section below, because I'm really just here to help you guys out and hopefully give you guys more informed decisions about the kind of PCs that you guys are going to be buying. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like on it if you did. Consider subscribing if you guys want to see more content like this, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.